Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Chess Advanced. And this game is from 1959 candidates. And this game is going to be one hell of a ride because this game is between two former world champions. With white pieces, we have Mikhail Tal, and with the black pieces, we have Bobby Fischer. So this is going to be one roller coaster. So without further ado, let's start with this game. And as I told you, this game is from 1959 candidates. So definitely Tal is going to be at his prime. So let's see how 18-year-old Bobby Fischer handles Tal. Here just d4 by Tal, knight to f6 and just c4. G6, knight to c3, and bishop to g7, going for the king's Indian defense, and we have e4. Immediately going to strike in the center, d6, and just bishop to e2. Here, castles, knight to f3, and just e5. Just going for the standard in King's Indian defense move, and we have just d5. Immediately going for that advanced variation, and it's also called the Petrosian variation, but the names are unnecessary. Here, knight bd7, bishop to g5, and here h6. Just pushing that bishop back, so bishop to h4, but now just here a6, and now finally castles. Here, queen to e8, but now going for this knight bd2, bishop to h7, and here was probably a moment where here Tal went for this b4, and here was probably a moment where Bobby Fischer could have gone for the best move in this position and tried to get his pieces in order. Here knight to g5 would have been a move that would have really been good, because even if you capture, that's not going to do anything because you're going to get that move either way. But here f3, and here after a move like f5, now going for this bishop to f2, f captures, and now f captures, now queen to e7, and after c5 d captures, and here probably with queen to b3, king to h7, and here going for a move like b captures, knight captures, just moving away, and here just protecting. But you're going to go play this knight to a4, and now this pin is going to be huge, so you won't be able to do much about it. So after trades, it takes queen captures, and here after knight captures, you'll be able to, both players are going to be able to get a good game. But instead of here b4, Fischer went for this bishop to f6, and now might seem like it's not doing anything, but unfortunately it is, because here Tal got an idea. Bishop captures on f6, and here knight captures, and now you're going to see that the king side is a bit weak. And what Fischer can do in this position is, instead of being stuck defending the entire game, is get an attack going, or maybe start to capitalize on these pieces. This bishop looks terrible here, and you could actually push some pawns on the queen side, and maybe you'll be able to get some game out of it, because here Tal is definitely going to attack you because you're playing with the black pieces and you've just traded a bishop that was on f6. And here just knight bd3, but just queen to e7, queen to d2, king to h7, and here just going for this queen to e3, king to g8. I mean, this is just coming and this is just mid-air, basically c5, but now going for this f5. And before him pushing it, Fischer pushes it himself, but is it going to work in Fischer's favor, or is it going to work in Tal's favor? Because here E captures was played by Tal, but now just G captures, and here F4. Finally going and pushing it, but now instead, the best move that you normally see in these positions is you want to just push that pawn, advance it. But is it going to be helpful? Because your king is already very much weak. You don't have a G pawn, and here, I mean, you do have light square bishop, and definitely this diagonal is very much going to be going to be very much bad, because you do have a queen. If you had a dark square bishop, that would have been a chance. But if white doesn't have a dark square bishop, then you are probably better pushing that pawn, because when you play e4, you'll get a move like g4, pushing it open, because, well, he's going to do it. F captures, knight captures, and now you play king to h8, just securing your king, because you do have a light squared bishop. Rook a e1, knight to f6, and here going for this bishop to d3, bishop to f5, queen to d4, and here after bishop captures, rook captures, you still cannot capture because of the spin, and here just queen to g7. Finally, now you can capture, but now what you're going to do is play rook to e6, and this rook is an absolute monster of a piece. You're going to be stuck defending with all your pieces. It's going to be a game you don't want to play. So here after a move like f4, he captures, e captures, and here just queen captures, and now after d captures, bishop to d3, not even worried about taking that piece back, but here he just captured it. He said, there is no attack. If you want to attack me, let's see what you got. So here he played rook a to e1, sacrificing a knight completely for the attack. And Fischer doesn't take the knight right away, because he knows that there is too much pressure. Obviously, the queen is under attack, but there's too much pressure. So first you have to move the queen. So queen to f6. Now you're also threatening to pick up the knight with the queen, but Taj just says bring it on. He goes for rook to e6, attacking the queen. Now you can actually win the knight, but should you capture it? Fischer definitely captured it, but now comes the issue, because here, if you're wondering about this, I mean, that is exactly the idea, because here bishop captures on f5, and here the move that was played was rook captures on f5, sacrificing the exchange, but now queen captures. And here once the king move, we have knight just rook to f3, and I mean, these rooks are going to be absolute monsters here. And here queen to b2 was played. I don't know why queen to b2 was played, because here it's just impossible to find even a move here. You cannot move this knight, you cannot move this knight. Your king is completely open. You have to remain on this diagonal. So maybe that's why, because you don't have any other move. You could go here, but that's just a bit too passive. How are you going to develop these pieces? And look at Tal's pieces. All of his pieces are, aside from this knight, all of these pieces are actually going for the attack. Here rook to e8 was played, but now knight to f6, and I'm sure you're able to see the idea, because here this knight is pinned, so you can actually grab this knight. So he tried giving back a little bit of material. Also, the queen is under attack. You have to be careful about that as well. Queen captures, rook captures, but you still cannot capture. And here king to g7 was played, but just rook f to f8. And here knight to e7 obviously cannot capture because this captures. So here the best move in this position is knight to a5, but instead of knight to a5, you could have also gone for knight to c5. And here, after a move like a5, now you go for this knight to d3, rook to a6, rook to f3, and here finally you are threatening to pick this up, so you have to move it. And the best way is just to capture it, because you're going to lose either one of the pieces. Here, after rook captures, Tal is up a piece. Tal is definitely converting this to a pin, but he played this knight to a5, and here just h5. But you cannot do anything. How are you ever going to develop these pieces? I mean, with Tal blocking your a pawn, you cannot push this. You cannot get the rook in. These rooks are going to be there. You'll get stuck in an absolute zugzwang, and there is nothing you can do in this position. Here h4 was tried. Here h4 was played by Tal, and rook to b8 was tried, but here just knight to c4. And here after b5, here just knight to e5 was played, and it was on this move, on move 34, that Bobby Fischer resigned the game, and Tal got this spectacular victory in just 34 moves. And remember, this is 1959 Tal, who won the candidates tournament and went on to become world champion. So definitely, you cannot blame Bobby Fischer for this, because Bobby Fischer was just 18 years old, and I mean, it's impossible to face 18-year-old. It's impossible to face Tal when he's in his prime. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned for that, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you.